In the midst of the 11th century, a prophecy arose that would spread through the ages, foreshadowing a disturbing era for the modern Church, centered on Pope Francis. This prophecy had its origin in a character born in 1094 in Armagh, Ireland, into the noble clutches of an aristocratic family known for its deep-rooted Christian values. Named Mal Madob at birth, which translates as devotee of Madob, he was enveloped in an environment that cherished education and religious devotion from his earliest childhood. Saint Malachi, as he would become known, began his religious journey under the guidance of his family and mentors, who instilled in him an enormous respect for the teachings of the Church and the importance of spiritual service. His early education was solid, encompassing not only the fundamentals of Christian doctrine, but also classical texts and the liberal arts, which rounded out his understanding of the world and his faith. His transformative years were further influenced by the influential Eamar O'Agan, a monk dedicated to reforming the Irish Church. Under O'Agan's tutelage, Malachi's worldview broadened, focusing on the need to align the Irish Church more closely with Roman Catholic standards. This period was marked by his commitment to ecclesiastical reforms and his eventual ordination at age 25, a milestone that heralded the beginning of a major ecclesiastical career. It's interesting, isn't it? If you found this discussion interesting, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to stay up to date with more fascinating facts. So, after his ordination, Malachi took on roles that placed him at the forefront of religious leadership. He was entrusted with the implementation of apostolic decrees and the teachings of the Holy Fathers, which he carried out with transformative and, at times, polemical zeal. He introduced Roman canonical hours into his practices, standardized sacraments such as confession, confirmation, and marriage, and met inherent resistance with a mixture of determination and diplomacy. Yet it is his prophecy about Pope Francis that casts the longest shadow over his legacy. Described as both disturbing and intriguing, it suggests a crucial shift in the future of the Church, placing Francis at the epicenter of what could be the dawn of a new, albeit turbulent, era. Through this video, we explore the life of Saint Malachy, confirmation, from his noble birth through his early education and important reforms, to a prophecy that continues to engage scholars, theologians, and believers in a dialogue about destiny and divinity. Eager for his understanding and commitment to ecclesiastical reform, Malachi undertook a journey to Lismore, a renowned centre of ecclesiastical enlightenment. There he studied under Malachon Ascento Wawachin Mayor, or Malchus, the first retired bishop of Waterfell, who once held the archbishopric of Cashel. Upon his return in 1132, Malachius was appointed abbot of Bangor Abbey, succeeding his uncle. This position not only offered him a crucial platform for influencing ecclesiastical practices, but also positioned him to implement the canons of the Synod of Erath, in particular the establishment of the Diocese of Canair. His leadership at Bangor proved pivotal, catalyzing a wider movement of ecclesiastical reform throughout Ireland and laying the groundwork for his future roles. 12 years later, in 1144, he ascended as Bishop of Downey-Canair, devoting his efforts to reinstating monastic discipline and aligning liturgical celebrations with the Roman Rite. His staunch dedication to reform, especially his initiative to replace the ancient Celtic rites with the Roman liturgy, met with initial resistance, but gradually gained widespread support, strengthening the unity of the Irish Church under Roman Catholic norms. His tireless efforts did not go unnoticed. When the Archbishopric of Armagh suddenly became vacant, Malachius was elected to fill the void, challenging the traditional hereditary succession and sparking intense disputes. In a bold move to preserve ecclesiastical stability and avoid conflict, he declined the office of archbishop, opting instead to serve as abbot at Ibrora in Cherry. His reforming zeal did not diminish. In 1139, seeking to strengthen the Irish Church's ties with Rome, Malachy travelled to the Vatican, aspiring to obtain for Armagh the pallium, the symbol of metropolitan authority. Although his request was initially denied, this trip was decisive. During his travels, he met with Abbot Bernard of Clairvaux in France, a convergence that profoundly influenced the Irish Church by facilitating the introduction of the Cistercian order in Ireland in 1142. Through these efforts, Malachy not only sculpted a legacy of rigorous ecclesiastical reform, but also intricately wove his own life into the broader tapestry of church history, ensuring that his teachings and reforms resonated far beyond his immediate influence. The founding of Medjifontein-Louth Abbey, Ireland's first Cistercian monastery, marked a decisive step in the spiritual renewal of the nation and reflected Malachy's unwavering determination to rejuvenate the ecclesiastical landscape. His final year embodied unrelenting vigour and devotion, culminating in the consecration of the Augustinian Priory of Nantes in 1148, a move that solidified the order's ties within Ireland through the connections of the influential Malmuir-Gorm family. Enjoying the video so far? Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and consider using the super thank you to support the channel. Your support helps us bring you more enlightening content like this. Thus, in that transformative year, Malachius sought to resolve an age-old ecclesiastical problem by engaging Pope Eugene III, a former Cistercian from Clairvaux, to secure a pallium for the archbishops of Ireland, a symbol potent enough to forge stronger ties between the Irish Church and the Vatican. This endeavour demonstrated his ability to navigate the complex web of ecclesiastical and political dynamics that spanned Armagh, Cashel, and upwardly mobile Dublin, fighting for a unified hierarchy. He organised a major synod on St. Patrick's Island, strategically located within the Dublin diocese, to underscore the city's growing prominence. The consensus of the assembly was to seek the pallium for Armagh, Cashel, Dublin, and Tuam, with the aim of consolidating ecclesiastical government throughout Ireland. Following the synod, Malachy embarked on a quest for Pope Eugene III, who resided in France. Travelling through Scotland and visiting the court of King David, he arrived in Clarabal in October 1148. However, the Pope did not arrive in time, as he had departed back to Italy, forcing Malachy to stop in Clarabal due to exhaustion from his strenuous efforts. His health deteriorated rapidly, and he died on November 2, 1148, in the Abbey of Clarabal, in the presence of his companion and chronicler, St. Bernard. At the age of 53, surrounded by prayers and the monastic community, Malachy's death was solemnly marked. St. Bernard of Clairvaux, deeply moved by Malachy's holiness and commitment, wrote extensive accounts of his virtues and deeds. His canonization in 1199 distinguished him as the first Irish saint to be officially recognized by the Catholic Church, an honor strongly supported by the Cistercian fraternity, which he fervently defended. St. Malachy's feast day, celebrated on November 3rd, strategically follows All Saints' Day, celebrating his enduring influence on ecclesiastical reform and the introduction of Cistercianism in Ireland. This day is filled with special liturgies and reflective prayers, commemorating his life as an example of piety and dedication, continually inspiring fidelity through the generations. Malachy's encounter with divinity during a solemn walk in the hills of Rome became a defining moment, one that would indelibly etch his name in the annals of church history. Wrapped in prayer, he experienced a profound vision that transcended time, revealing the succession of future church leaders through divine revelation. As twilight turned to night, Malachy found himself in a liminal state in which sacred words flowed that enabled him to know 112 future pontiffs. This mystical experience began with Celestine II, labelled with the year 113, and extended to a premonitory vision of Peter the Roman, imagined as the last shepherd of the Church preceding a tumultuous age. With a scrupulous hand, he documented every name and cryptic description, ensuring that this heavenly foresight would endure through the centuries. For centuries, this revelation remained anonymous until its fortuitous discovery in the late 15th century, which was made public in 1595 through the publication of the Benedictine monk Arnold Bonn. The prophecies, rich in enigmatic Latin phrases, were linked to historical figures up to that time, including 74 popes and anti-popes, which increased their appeal and mysticism in both academic and public circles. Each prophetic entry, such as Ex Castro Tiberis, which alludes to Celestine's origins near the Tiber River, was dissected and pondered, and Malachy's predictions were acclaimed for their startling accuracy. However, it is his final prophecy about Peter the Roman that captivates worldwide attention, suggesting an era of significant evidence that echoes apocalyptic biblical themes. This prophecy has unleashed a flurry of speculation, especially regarding Pope Francis, whom some believe fits the description of Peter the Roman due to his unprecedented papal journey. Born Jorge Mario Bergoglio, his early life was marked by modest beginnings, from running a nightclub to sweeping floors, before progressing into the chemical field as a technician. His ecclesiastical journey began in the Jesuit order, culminating in his ordination in 1969. His tenure as provincial superior of the Jesuits in Argentina highlighted his dedication to social justice and the impoverished, principles he carried over into his papacy. Now, as Bishop of Rome and sovereign leader of the Vatican, Francis's trajectory reflects the humble yet transformative leadership prophesied by Malachi, with his papal actions continually resonating with the foundational values he has long cherished. The chronicle of Jorge Mario Bergoglio's ascension to the highest echelons of the Catholic Church illustrates a narrative rich in prophetic nuance and historical significance. In 1998, Bergoglio was appointed Archbishop of Buenos Aires, placing him in the spotlight during Argentina's tumultuous economic crisis of 2001. His leadership during this critical period highlighted his ability to tackle complex challenges, foreshadowing his future role as a global religious leader. In 2013, Bergoglio's ascension to the papacy as Pope Francis marked a historic turning point, succeeding Benedict XVI. His choice of the name Francis, in honor of Saint Francis of Assisi, underscored his advocacy of humility and a deep dedication to the impoverished, closely aligned with the Malachian prophecies of a leader destined to face substantial trials. His pontificate has been characterized by inclusiveness and compassion, marking a new era for the Church. Francis's decision to reside in Casa Santa Marta, foregoing traditional papal apartments, along with the appointment of women to key positions in the Roman Curia, reflects a progressive stance toward gender equality. In addition, his efforts to extend a more welcoming hand to the LGBT community and his staunch opposition to unbridled capitalism and environmental degradation have cemented his reputation as a moral compass on the world stage. Internationally, Francis has been active in diplomatic initiatives, such as the restoration of US-Cuba relations and the initiation of a dialogue with China, underscoring his commitment to world peace. His advocacy for the rights of refugees and immigrants, particularly during the migration crises in Europe and Central America, further exemplifies his determination to address pressing global issues with empathy and vigor. In 2022, Francis's apology for the Church's role in the cultural genocide against Canadian Indigenous peoples marked a profound moment of reckoning and reconciliation. The initiation of the Synod on Synodality in October 2023 aims to foster a more inclusive and responsive Church. highlighting his visionary approach to ecclesial leadership. However, the shadow of Malachi's prophecies looms large, with 112 cryptic Latin phrases supposedly describing the succession of popes, culminating in the enigmatic figure of Peter the Roman. This prophecy, foretelling a period of severe persecution under Peter's papacy, casts a mysterious pall over Francis's legacy, intertwining divine prediction with the palpable realities of a church at a crossroads. The prophecy of Saint Malachy, apparently written in the 12th century but not brought to light until the 16th century, has long intrigued scholars and laymen alike with its apocalyptic forecast of 112 popes, culminating in Peter the Roman. The latter figure is said to preside over the Church amid the tribulations of the end of the world, after which the fall of Rome itself is prophesied. The discovery of this prophecy, just before an important papal election, and the lack of contemporary mentions, especially by St. Bernard of Clairvaux, Malachy's biographer, cast doubt on its authenticity, suggesting that it could be a post-factum creation intended to influence ecclesiastical politics or serve as a literary hoax. Pope Francis, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, has been drawn into this prophetic narrative, not least because of the association of his papal name with that of St. Francis of Assisi, whose father's name was Pietro. This connection ostensibly links him to the last pope of prophecy, Peter the Roman, encouraging widespread speculation as to whether his papacy aligns with the predicted end times. This speculation is further fueled by the alignment of certain papal mottos with their respective popes, lending a veneer of credibility to the predictions until their publication, after which their accuracy diminishes markedly. If you appreciate the depth of our exploration, please like, subscribe, and consider showing your support through Super Thanks. It really makes a difference in how we bring these stories to life. Thus, critics argue that the delay in the prophecy's appearance and its subsequent historical accuracy until the late 16th century suggest that it was probably crafted at that time, potentially as a satirical or manipulative text. The fact that descriptions after 1595 are increasingly vague supports this view, indicating that earlier entries were adapted retrospectively to known historical figures. In addition, the format of the prophecy, a series of cryptic Latin phrases, mirrors other contemporary prophetic and literary traditions which often used enigmatic and symbolic language to address political and theological issues of their time. Despite these controversies, prophecy has continued to captivate the imagination, reflecting a broader human fascination with prophecy and its role within religious and cultural narratives. Pope Francis's leadership style, characterized by humility, social justice, and inclusiveness, stands in stark contrast to the cataclysmic predictions of prophecy. His actions, such as championing environmental awareness, social equity, and world peace, demonstrate a proactive approach to the papacy that seeks to address global challenges rather than succumb to them. As Pope Francis navigates the complexities of modern global leadership, his pontificate is observed under the shadow of the ominous visions of St. Malachi. Whether these are genuine divinations or reflections of perennial apocalyptic concerns remains a matter of debate. However, it is undeniable that they enrich the discourse surrounding his papacy, blending historical, prophetic, and contemporary perspectives in a narrative that challenges and captivates observers around the world.